What is good, broskies? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we are going to be doing exploit SSRF with Gopher for GCP initial access. So the scenario is you have recently joined a red team and are on an engagement for the client Gigantic Retail. In scope is their on-premise and cloud environments. As the cloud specialist, you are called upon to get initial access to their infrastructure, starting with an identified IP address. So every time we find an IP address, the first thing we would do is run an Nmap scan. So I'm going to run a quick Nmap scan, and by means of quick, since I know that which port is open, all I have to do is specify port 80. And yeah, I'm also going to do pn, and there we go. So it's just going to confirm if port 80 is open. It's going to run default script, and it's also going to get the version as well if it finds any. Usually in this case, you wouldn't really do this. You would do an all port scan because you never know where the website could be located. It could be on 8080, it could be on 9001, or it could be in a very unique port, you know? So it's better to do all port scans. And you would just do that with this argument over here, the dash after the P. But yeah, moving on, port 80 is open and there's a website there, so let's go and check it out. So we see that there's nothing really here. We could check the source code as well over here. And we don't really find anything in the source code either. Let's go ahead and click some buttons to see if there's any other pages here. So we can click on home, nothing, about us, nothing, contact us, nothing, the shop. Yes, we are redirected to shop.html. Let's go check out the source code for this page. And we scroll down and we find this image reference over here going to this link. Let's go ahead and open this in a new tab. And it seems to be a Google storage, a bucket, pretty much named Gigantic Retail, which has this publicly accessible image, which is used on this website. Interesting. We can go ahead and try to see if we're able to list anything in Gigantic Retail. And we get access denied, pretty much. Anonymous caller does not have storage object list access to the Google Cloud storage bucket. So as an anonymous user, we can't really do this. We could attempt to log into G-Cloud and see if we have access that way. It could be that even this is an anonymous access, right? We could try to do it with an Google Cloud account access. So any Google Cloud could access it. We could try to do it that way. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to do gcloud auth login. And we can use our test account that we created and allow. You are now authenticated. Great. If we close this, we're currently in project this and this. Let's see if we could list the bucket. So to do that, I thought I had my command saved here, but I guess not. Gcloud storage bucket. I think it's object list. Objects list. And it says does not have permissions to access B instance this. All right then. And if I do buckets, I don't think it's going to work because it's going to list. Yeah. So yeah, we don't have access, so we can go ahead and look for some other ways. And we see that there's this enter your city over here option, check near shop. If you click this, pretty much just does nothing. Cart does nothing, and there's this profile over here. We could play around with this. Perhaps there's a cross-site scripting vulnerability. Just a quick check. Pressing enter doesn't do anything. If we click this, yeah, not really. If you write Toronto, we're not delivering at your location. So I guess it's taking this city that we enter and it checks whether it's available to deliver over there. Let's go ahead and look at profile. We haven't clicked this yet, and it says redirecting to the profile page. Okay. And we are over here. We have an option here to enter an image URL, and we can go ahead and use some test at test.com, some numbers, and we need an image. We can take something online, or we can take the one over here as well. This one. So pretty much an image URL. And we can do fetch image, and we notice that it does work. We also notice that there's a new parameter attached to the URL, which says URL equals to this. So it's referencing this over here. We can go ahead and see if there's any SSRF vulnerability, and SSRF basically just allows us to make requests to unintended destinations, which often bypassing access control, right? So yeah, okay, no, sorry, I was thinking of something else, which is kind of a complicated example. But in general, what we can do is, if this website is hosted on a Google VM or even AWS, we could try to make requests to the internal metadata, or what's it called? The metadata API, right? And what we can do with that is, basically every VM in Google Cloud could access this metadata API endpoint, and we could get something like credentials or token, or if any account is attached to the VM, we could try to get the token for that account. So first we have to see if this IP or this website is on Google Cloud VM. To do that, we can do who is, and we can put the IP. And I should really zoom in over here. My bad. So who is, and there we go. And we can notice that it says net name google.cloud, which pretty much indicates that, hey, this is probably on a Google VM. So if that's the case, let's try to query the metadata endpoint. And we can do a simple one over here, which is given in the lab as well. And we're going to query the project ID. So what it's going to do is try to get the project ID of this account, or what the VM can access. And we notice that we get this error over here. So it says fetched content is not an image. And we also have this error here that says missing metadata flavor Google header. So every time we try to talk to the API, right, the metadata API endpoint, we're going to have to use a metadata or a Google header, right? And to showcase this, it's pretty much over here. Just to give you a rough example, it's like this: a metadata flavor Google, this header we're going to need to do this. The reason why, actually no, that's just going to get too complicated. But let me think of how to explain this more easily. So in order for to stop SSRF vulnerabilities, they made this thing where you have to attach a header. And obviously when doing SSRF vulnerability, we're really unable to attach a header in our request. Like we cannot attach a header over here. You know what I mean? So it's just a regular URL. There's no way to specify a particular type of header in it. So it basically makes this SSRF vulnerability, if we find one, very difficult to exploit. But one of the protocols that these VMs use is Gopher. If a Gopher protocol is accepted and allowed, it will allow us to basically also add a header. So a blog post is given in the lab over here, which demonstrates the SSRF payload, which allows it to make HTTP requests pretty much. So this is the payload in the blog. You can also find this in the lab. And you can see Gopher is making a request. Actually, over here, I decoded it. So I'll just explain here. It's making a request to metadata google.internal. It's making a GET request, and it's going to this destination here, which is the service account over here, and it's getting the token, of that service account. And the best part is we get to add that header. So yeah. Other things such as host, not really that important. But yeah, except all, this is pretty much saying that, indicating that any metadata, that any media type is acceptable in response, which is also, this is good to note. This is, I don't know why this would even be needed, but it is there in the walkthrough or the blog. So yeah, it's just mentioned here. I don't know why this would be needed. It should be okay without it. Um, so yeah, now in our scenario, we don't know what the service account is. So what we're going to do is, for example, in this payload here, we're going to remove the token area and the service account name over here. So we can remove this. Perfect. And we're going to try to find what the service account is. And then from there, we'll try to get the token for the service account. So let's go here and put this right there, paste it. This usually takes some time, so it is what it is. And there we go. We do have this bucket viewer, gr project one, imgserviceaccount.com. So we have the service account name now. We can copy this. Now let's go back here and put the service account in this location. And we're gonna query the token endpoint now for the service account to get the token for this. So copy that, remove all this, and paste it in there. Connection reset. Let's do refresh again. Strange. Let's see, am I doing something wrong here? Service account, project one. Oh yeah, there's the space over here, no wonder. Let's copy that. And now this takes some time as well, so we're gonna have to wait a bit. It shouldn't be too long though. And there we go. We have the access token over here. So if you guys want a nicely formatted one, we can just go to view page source, scroll down, and we can find it over here. And the reason why mine is like this and not a single line is pretty much if you right click, all you have to do is check mark this wrap long lines. If you uncheck this, you can see it's one whole line. So yeah. Let's go ahead and copy this whole thing. It's still going to be in one line. As you can see, it's in line 87, this whole thing. So we can copy this and we'll put this in a variable called token. So token equals this. Perfect. Now let's try to get to that bucket that we found and see if we can list what's in there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run this command here. I'm going to change the variable name to my token name, which is token. And we're specifying the bucket, B bucket, gigantic retail, and O to get the objects for this. Click enter. We find out all the objects. And if we go to the bottom, we can see over here we have this flag.txt. So we're going to take is this media link. If you do open this link, you'll find that it gives us this error, anonymous caller does not have this access, right? Because obviously we couldn't list any of the files in Gigantic Retail either with anonymous access. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that the flag.txt is not accessible, by anonymous callers, because it could be that specific files are accessible. But in this case, it's the same thing as before. Anonymous caller does not have access. So we can take this, copy this link over here, and we can run the same command here. And all we have to do is paste this and click enter. But obviously I'm not going to click enter because that's going to show you guys the flag. So yeah, that's the end of this lab. Honestly, it's been a crazy ride. We just saw so many boxes on Pwned Labs, and I think the next one is going to be the last one. And we're finally gonna have, or we're gonna give our GCRTP exam next week. And yeah, that's gonna be the end. I think I'm like the first person to get, well, not the first person, because there's like a couple more with me at the same time getting all 3 certifications. But we're going to be the first, pretty much. We're gonna be the first batch. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, bro. But yeah, take care, and see you for the next one. If you have any questions, also leave a comment. Just chill, All right, take care.